And take a deep breath.
My dearest Elisabeth, you have brought so much joy in my life that no one else has or ever will. I still remember the first time when I saw you and just how awestruck I was. When we sat up the hammock on the mountains and we didn't say a single word the entire time I was thinking about you and how I just wanted to get to know you.
I had no idea that weekend I visited Portland would change my life forever. Before I even got on my flight home, I even jokingly texted my friend that I had just met my future husband.
When we began talking, I started writing down every hour that we talked on the phone with hopes to tell you how many hours I counted for this very day. But after reaching over 200 hours in the first couple months, I realized that it was going to be impossible to keep track of.
Shortly after we started talking, God gave me this overwhelming peace in my heart, knowing that after all these years of praying, you were the one that He had prepared for me.
The way you smile, laugh, and your passion for life and all of God's creations are just a sliver of what make you so beautiful.
And I remember during one of our conversations, he mentioned to me that he'd been talking to this girl from California. And I had never heard him talk about a girl anywhere near like that before. He sounded genuinely, truly happy.
In Genesis, after God created Adam, He drew from Adam a part of him that would be a complementary helper, a friend, a wife. Elisabeth, you are that complementary helper that God had cut deeply for me to become my wife.
God knew exactly what I needed in a husband when He molded your heart and your soul. You are my bestest friend. You have been my greatest comforter and encourager, and you always lead me back to Christ.
I have yet to meet another two people that suit each other as well as you do each other.
Paul, you're looking really good today. You're actually looking the happiest I've ever seen you. And I'm really proud of you.
I promise as your husband to always try to bring you joy and laughter. I promise to give you an adventurous life to explore the wonders that God has made.
I promise to respect and honor you as my husband as we grow together in the likeness of Christ and glorify Him through our marriage.
I thank God every day for bringing you into my life and giving me the privilege of being able to walk this adventurous life with you, whenever you are. Oh man.
And if you think Paul is in love with Elisabeth today, just look at them for a minute. Just look at them. I don't know if you look at him as she was walking down the aisle. If you look, this is the image of God in relationship with us. That's how much God loves us. And He wants us to remember that. In Jesus Christ, that's how much He loves us.
I promise to love you as Christ loved the church, to fully give myself to you with unconditional love.
Your love for her must be like the love that Christ has for the church, which is a tall order. You have to sacrifice yourself for her.
You love me passionately and selflessly as Christ loves the church, and you make it so easy to choose this life of adventure with you. I promise to always stand beside you through any trials and rejoice with you through all the blessings that God brings our way.
I promise to always be by your side, forever.
The church is called the Bride of Christ. We've heard that many times today, and we know that Christ died for the church. But for 33 years, He lived for her, teaching, leading, living and building a family and a community around Him based on love and grace. My prayer and wish for you guys is that you will use this as an example and build your new family on the spot. I love you, bro. Congratulations on your happiest day.
You have my whole heart for the rest of my life. My love will always be yours.
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride, Paul.
I honestly can't begin to express my joy for the two of you, to think of how all of this started and how God brought the two of you together in such an amazing and sovereign way. It's truly beautiful.
One night about 3 years ago, Paul drove me home from one of our group hikes. So I asked Paul, do you ever think you're going to get married? Expecting a sarcastic Paul comment, I was surprised when he said, I've thought about it, and I've come to terms with the idea that I probably won't ever get married. But I just don't think there's someone out there who will really understand me truly and understand my interests and ideas. They're so specific. Fast forward 1 year to the RBYA committee retreat in October 2017. Betty and I connected right off the bat and spent the first night talking for hours about life, school, and how we were praying and preparing to meet our future husbands. We shared some of our hopes as to the type of man he would be. Everything she said was pretty much describing Paul to a T.
What I didn't know was that Paul was literally a man version of Becky, and that they were practically made for each other.
I knew that Paul was the type of guy who would be weirded out with being set up, so I decided not to mention Becky to him at all and just told him that I have some cool friends from LA coming down and that we were going to go on a hike. Later that day, Betty was setting up a hammock, and in an attempt to get them to talk, I said, Paul, I think that's Betty's first time hanging up a hammock. You should go help her.
Who made the first move?
But thankfully, over the next few days, there were many moments in which they connected and realized just how similar they are. So I encourage both of them to give it a try, and the rest is history. Since then, Paul and Betty, it's been the greatest joy to see how God has woven together your lives.
My prayer for the two of you is that God would keep making the two of you better for each other day by day. That 50 years down the line, you can look forward to the next day of adventure with the one that God has placed in your life. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you all the love and happiness this life can give you.
Now it's my privilege to introduce to you for the first time Mr. and Mrs. Onofre.